We're about to get ready to have this moon enter in Aquarius. So at the moment it's in Capricorn. So when the moon is in Capricorn, you need to go ahead and, of course, start reacting and responding seriously. You're going to have people, places, and things around you that want to joke around, play around, yeah. But as long as you know, keeping your demeanor and keeping your intensity high and strong, and you're being a representation and the examples of get it done, get in, and get out, you'll be alright. Basically, everything starts with how you construct your day. Everything starts with how you put things in organization. Everything starts with how you have the intent to pretty much have drive and passion and motivation towards what you're striving to pretty much take out of that burden. Now, you're always going to go through an obstacle. Always remember that. You're always going to go through a situation where, you got to put your deuces up and, of course, put your guard up and, of course, let motherfuckers know, like, yo, business got to get done. So you pretty much are a distraction at the moment. You got to get up out of here. Feel me? But it's all about transformation during this time. It's all about getting yourself prepared and, of course, getting yourself ready. We got Pluto in Capricorn, so, of course, everybody went through a deep transformation with this moon in Capricorn, where it's debilitated, and, of course, Pluto in Capricorn, where it loves to kind of like be. So we all pretty much are witnessing and, of course, experiencing people, places, and things reacting seriously towards what they're working on, what they're building on, what they're establishing, and everybody going to be pretty much in a phase of worrying about their status and stuff, or they can be pretty much stressing and going to the extremes in these areas. But when the moon is in Capricorn, it's all about, reacting and responding seriously towards your status, your career, your goals, and, of course, your responsibilities. If you ain't take care of your responsibilities, then, of course, you're going to be pretty much guilty by association. That's how it's going to play out. Also, you got Saturn in Aquarius, too, which is, also another planet predicated towards Capricorn. So you want to make sure that you're pretty much in a situation of, making sure that you're putting certain boundaries, limitations, and restrictions on individuals that pretty much took things seriously as far as their goals, what they're working on, what they're trying to do, what they're trying to build. You want to make sure that you're pretty much putting up a blockage in that area, so these individuals won't pretty much be bringing no dead weight or no dead energy within your circumference. Because the moment you allow somebody to basically bring that within your energy, and, of course, you allow somebody to pretty much get comfortable with that, or better yet, you get comfortable with them doing that, and you have pretty much opened yourself. So this means you allow anything or anyone to pretty much walk on your grass, piss on your grass, leave doodle on your grass. And, of course, you put up the sign there, said none of this, none of that. But feel me, that sign, you ain't pretty much put no energy, you ain't put no intent into that sign. So that sign is just there. And, of course, throw the shit on your grass. Now what you going to do? You going to get serious? Or you going to set a boundary? What's going? Now, the house and area and location that you have Aquarius in is going to basically be the house and going to be the space and location where you're going to feel comfortable with planting that seed, that last seed before you have that full moon. So you want to make sure this is a big seed. You want to make sure you're generating these seeds, making sure these seeds are expanding. So when it comes to your first house, you need to pretty much develop a new way of having a personal status when it comes to your personality and, of course, your personal affairs. You need to start setting boundaries and limitations and restrictions on the personal people, places, and things that's in your life that's not personally, up on a 1-2 or up on a gang system. Now you're going to get opposed by your relationships. They might say, oh, you're moving funny and things of that matter. But it's cool. Take that energy and, of course, just keep it moving. Now, if you got this in your second house, you're going to be placed into a circumstance situation of you're going to have some ups and downs in this house right here, because Aquarius falls here. And it's also a square. So that means you are going to learn. What you need to be doing is learning how to, associate yourself with, learning how to value more of yourself before you put yourself out there in the world. And you're going to be very restricted. You're going to be pretty much, very status quo when it comes to pretty much coming up with new trends, coming up with, new theories on how you can kind of like accumulate and, of course, create your own network, create your own vibe, or create your own way of developing. Of course, you like to stay down till you come up kind of individual. So you pretty much, this is your second house. This is where you're going to be planting seeds at. So you need to pretty much value your associations, or come up with a new way of learning how to build and value what you have associated yourself with. Now, you're going to pretty much attract a whole lot of secret desires or secret enemies when it comes to your 8th house, being in Leo. Now, if you got this in your 3rd house, you're pretty much going to be placed into a circumstance situation of utilizing your environment and associating with your environment and communicating about these things, or coming up with groups and terms and conditions where you can kind of like, have everyone work together, or pretty much establish some form of, communication, sharing ideas, or having some new intellectual ways of pretty much going about how you guys are kind of like, coming together and building. Now, you also need to pretty much set boundaries, limitations, and restrictions on others' ways of thinking and communicating, especially if it's not nothing that you kind of like, feel comfortable in or sinking yourself in with. And also, you may basically witness a whole lot of boundaries, limitations, and restrictions in that area as well. Now, if you got this in your fourth house, you're going to be placed into a circumstance situation of, you're going to go to the extreme, and you're going to also develop a 150, which is a misunderstanding when it comes to your ways of planting seeds, when it comes to dealing with home, family, and privacy. Either you're going to come up with a new way of pretty much having your own way of conducting yourself when it comes to dealing with your privacy and the private things that you associate yourself with. This can be dealing with home, family, and of course, individuals that you call family as well. Also, if you have Aquarius in your fifth house, which is its opposite here, you are going to be placed into a circumstance situation of coming up with your own way of being unique and original when it comes to your love, your creativity, your talents, your romance, and your hobbies. Now, what you pretty much need to do in this house right here is put yourself into a situation where you kind of come up with your own way, your own vibe of expressing yourself and expressing your colorfulness when it comes to, putting your passions and your motivations and your energy out there into totality. Now, if you got this in your sixth house, you need to come up with your own way of being unique and original, and of course, developing your own work scheduling system, your own routines, and of course, your own way of conducting business. When it comes to being a service, come up with your own way of dealing with health, dealing with your own medicines, your healing processes, and the better you plant seeds in that area, the better you be fulfilled when it comes to your fourth house. Now, if you got to see your seventh house, you can be pretty much opposite, which means you need to come up with a new way of conducting your own way of being unique and original when it comes to your relationships and your way of relating. Or you may have to set boundaries and limitations and restrictions on people, places, and things that you're relating with. Now, if you got to see your eighth house, you need to come up with your own way of being unique and original when it comes to your intent, willpower, passion, motivation, and of course, desires. And come up with your own way of pretty much having your own stamina, your own speed, your own charisma, and of course, your way of conducting private, occult mysticism, and of course, behind the scenes where people, places, and things that you associate yourself with deeply. And you need to set boundaries and limitations and restrictions on certain desires that you have deep connections with. If you got to see in ninth house, you need to come up with your own way of being unique and original when it comes to when it comes to your philosophies, when it comes to your morals, your principles, and of course, the thing you are pretty much expanding on. Now, also, you need to put boundaries and limitations and restrictions on certain experiences that you're going to go through, or you're going to be manifesting this, for me, before the full moon get here. Now, if you got to see in 10th house, this is going to basically be your status and, of course, what you're known for. So, pretty much, you need to come up with a new way of having your own way of being unique and original when it comes to your status, your career, your business, and your social responsibilities. Also, you need to set boundaries and limitations and restrictions on certain statuses that you have connections with that's no longer working. And also, if you got this in your 11th house, it's conjuncted here. So you're going to be placed into a circumstance situation of having your own unique way of dealing with associations, groups, friends, and of course, people, places, and things that's kind of like rowdy up, and people that can kind of like match your vibes and your energy. And also, you need to start setting boundaries and limitations and restrictions on the individual that you have associations with. But these individuals are not pretty much, that you see yourself having an association with long term. And if you got this in your 12th house, you are going to be pretty much angel when it comes to your own way of being unique and original when it comes to your dreams, fantasies, imaginations, and of course trusting your gut instincts, and of course being a helping hand and being a helping neighbor all around the world when it comes to humanitarian nature.